And it's intercepted at the goal line by Christian Gonzalez. Why would the Seahawks not run it with Walker at the 1 yard line? What are they doing? My apologies, Seahawks fans. Excuse me. I was just practicing for 2 weeks down the line when this happens in the Super Bowl. Welcome back to No Huddle, everyone, and welcome to my conference championship game review. The two of the last three games were played last Sunday, and we officially have our Super Bowl matchup. It was very unorthodox. If anyone predicted that at the start of the season, you deserve some sort of reward because I definitely did not think it was coming. But we got two games to talk about before the big game, so let's just get started. Before I talk about the first one, though, I just want to tell you guys, if you guys enjoyed this, please subscribe and like the video and comment your thoughts on the games or on the video. Any support is truly appreciated. Any constructive criticism is appreciated. And yeah, let's just get started because any support, I find that really thoughtful, and I would say thanks in advance. Starting with the AFC Championship game, we got the Patriots outlasting the Broncos 10-7 in what was maybe like the most low-scoring game of the entire season. I don't know many other games that ended with a combined 17 or fewer points. Taking a look at the box score before we talk about the game, Drake May from a passing standpoint was not very good, but rushing he was really good, especially compared to Ramondre Stevenson. Drake May was looking like Lamar Jackson out there when he was scrambling, but in terms of throwing the ball, he was not very good. The receiving game did absolutely nothing, as we saw by Drake May's stats. Booty couldn't handle anything. Diggs really didn't do anything. And the only passing play that really went for big chunk yardage was a bomb on a flea flicker to Mac Hollins, a little throwback to those Brady flea flickers from the Dynasty days. But overall, again, the Patriots really did nothing through the air. Now, luckily, their defense came to play. 3 more sacks, had a takeaway, only allowed 7 points, had 2 turnovers, actually. And then one final thing with special teams is that their kicker did miss 2 field goals. One of them was in the snow, and the other one was over 63 yards. So I guess I'm not going to fault him too much. But overall, this was just not a game for any kicker, to be honest. Peeking over to the Denver side, Jarrett Stidham played about as good as you expect a backup quarterback who hasn't played in 2 years. The running game did absolutely nothing. I think that was one of the biggest mistakes that Sean Payton had in this game, that he didn't abandon the run game quicker because RJ Harvey did absolutely nothing in this game. The receivers didn't really play well. Marvin Mims had a big catch on the second drive of the game, and Sutton had the touchdown. But then there were also a couple of drops on some really good Stidham throws. And then for the rest of the game, Stidham really wasn't all that accurate because he is, in fact, Jarrett Stidham. The defense had a lot of guys get on the board with a lot of tackles. They were able to sack Drake May 5 times, but they weren't able to turn the ball over, which I think was one of the biggest aspects in the entire game. And then with kicking, Will Lutz unfortunately did go 0 for 2. I'm not going to fault him too much because one was 54 yards and the other one was in the blizzard. But again, it kind of did end up costing them. And then one final note, the punter of the Broncos, he did really good. The Patriots were set back so many times with bad field position. And yeah, like off those punts, the Patriots didn't score a single point. So there's, I guess, the only silver lining. But now talking about the game, the Broncos actually started off really, really well with a dot from Jarrett Stidham to Marvin Mims, and Sutton ended up getting on the board. The Patriots really couldn't do anything on offense. The defense was stifling them. The running game with Ramondre was doing nothing. And outside of some Drake May scrambles, the Patriots just couldn't get any yardage and couldn't convert on third down. That was until the biggest play of the game when Jarrett Stidham had a backward pass that resulted in a fumble recovered by the Patriots. It was just such a back-breaking turnover, and Drake May ended up running it in to tie the game at 7-7. I mean, the Broncos still had a chance, but it was basically just a stalemate up until the Patriots. They had a 10-minute drive in the third quarter to open up the second half, in which they scored a field goal to make it 10-7. And after that, the Patriots basically took the ball out of their offense's hands in a way and just told their defense to win them the game. And they dared the Broncos offense to win them the game, which unfortunately the Broncos just couldn't do. Jarrett Stidham finally started missing on some passes. There were some drops. Again, the running game did absolutely nothing. And then the game was more so iced when Will Lutz had a chance to tie it, but then the Patriots heroically blocked the kick from like 44 yards out. It was actually a pretty good kick by Lutz, but unfortunately, some guy just got his hand on it. And then the game was officially put to rest when Jarrett Stidham had an underthrow and it was intercepted by Christian Gonzalez, arguably the best defender in these playoffs. He's been so good in this playoff run and in the season. Like Christian Gonzalez, what a player he is. But then the Patriots just ran out the clock and then were able to win the game off a Drake May run with it where he stiff-armed the defender to run out the entire clock and advance to Super Bowl 60. I'm not going to lie, this game was extremely defensive, but I still found it mildly entertaining because I still appreciate some defense. And considering the game was always within one score at all times, like, it was never for sure that the Patriots were going to win up until like the final drive before that Christian Gonzalez interception. Looking at the Broncos first, it's really unfortunate that their season had to end this way. I never took them seriously. I always thought that like they were a little fraudulent because they kept winning by these tiny margins. But overall, I think they still proved that they were a decent team with a dominant defense. And I know Patriots fans don't want to hear it because like it's all these hypotheticals, the Justin Herbert syndrome as I like to call it. But I do think that the Broncos win this game with Bo Nix. He is the better quarterback. He's the better runner. The running game wouldn't have been as abysmal. He would have probably gotten them in scoring position multiple times. I don't think he has like that back-breaking turnover. I don't think he makes that decision. But overall, the real culprit of this game is Sean Payton, in my opinion. He's a good coach. I think he got the Broncos far. But we've seen so many times this season where you just have to take the points. Take the field goal at that point. Not only was it a bad decision, it was also a bad play call. Sean Payton giving the ball to Jarrett Stidham on 4th and 1 with a rollout pass. I really don't know what he was thinking. Again, he did so much progress this season. I hope that the Broncos can go back because I do think that they have more potential to reach even bigger heights. But for now, it's a very bitter end to what was a good Broncos season. And Broncos fans, they have the right to be extremely depressed. Peeking over to the Patriots side now of things, the only negative now is that Drake May, I'm not going to lie, Patriots fans, not going to want to hear this, he hasn't been good these playoffs. He's been mediocre to bad in all 3 of the games. Literally, like, the only thing that you could compliment him for on this game was his running, but in terms of passing, he did absolutely nothing. But again, that's just like a very small negative because in the end, they did win the game. Mike Vrabel. Oh my goodness, what a coach he is. The Titans must be kicking themselves for getting rid of this guy. I don't really know why they did so, but Mike Vrabel's been incredible. This is his first season, and he's led the team to 14 wins and now a Super Bowl berth. Like, it's just remarkable. Like, their defense has been so good these playoffs. They've allowed like a combined like 8 points per game, had so many takeaways, so many sacks, like so much coverage. It's incredible how disciplined these Patriots are. And then the fascinating thing is, like, they were so bad last year with Jacoby Brissett and Gerard Mayo and like all those guys in 2024 to now being in the Super Bowl. Like that's just remarkable. Man of the match for me goes to the Patriots defense. It's not even close. Again, 3 sacks, only allowed 7 points. That was on the second drive of the game. They had 2 turnovers, one of them leading to a touchdown, the other one leading to the end of the game. If the Patriots defense keeps playing like this, then it might be not only like an all-time run, but the Patriots like legit have a shot at the Super Bowl. I'm not gonna lie, is it a Mickey Mouse road? Yes, but like Patriots fans, they'll tell you it doesn't matter how easy the schedule was. The thing that matters is that now New England is back to the Super Bowl for the 12th time now. And now to end the week, we got the NFC title game between the Seahawks and the Rams, in which the Seahawks prevailed 31-27. Looking at the box score, Matthew Stafford had actually a really good game. Started out kind of inaccurate as he was in the entire playoffs, but then picked it up. The running game was actually pretty good with Blake Corum and Kyren Williams kind of splitting carries. And even Matthew Stafford had some nice runs. He broke a tackle on a 3rd down run. That was extremely impressive. The receiving game was basically kind of by committee, but you obviously see the 2-headed monster that was Puka Nacua and Davante Adams. Both of them were incredible. It shows how valuable Davante Adams is to this team. The defense, unfortunately, didn't really do much outside of 3 sacks. They were able to force a fumble, but as we'll see later, they really weren't able to do much to the Seattle offense. And now peeking over to them, really no special teams on the Rams side. Sam Darnold, we'll talk about him later. He was incredible. 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, 127 passer rating. The running game actually did a lot worse than what I thought they did. They looked more effective as you watched the game, but in reality, I guess they were just overall kind of inefficient. But I think Walker had a pretty good game overall on the ground. Looking at the receiving game, again, it was kind of by committee, but as you see, JSN dominated with 10 for 153 and a touchdown. Like, oh my God, like Puka Nacua and JSN, both of them might have leapfrogged Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, at least this season. We'll see next year, but both of these guys absolute aliens. The defense, unfortunately, didn't really do much. They got like one sack and were able, I'm not sure if they forced a turnover outside of one turnover on downs. But yeah, the defense really wasn't the strong suit. It kind of seems like Mike Macdonald got a little bit outcoached by Sean McVay in terms of their both of their respective strengths. Now looking at the game, the Seahawks, they were able to strike first thanks to a dart from Darnold and then a run from Kenneth Walker, who scored a touchdown. Then the Rams were able to respond with a couple of field goals, and then they took the lead, what I believe was a 13-10 lead thanks to a Kyren Williams touchdown. But then right before the half, the Seahawks struck back and were able to find JSN on a touchdown, and that led to maybe the wildest third quarter of the entire season. The Seahawks ended up punting on their opening possession, but then the biggest mistake for the Rams happened, in which Xavier Smith muffed the punt, which gave the ball right back to Seattle, and they were able to cash in right away with Jake Bobo, of all people. Shout out to any TK12 fans. Jake Bobo, of all people, got a touchdown in the conference championship game. The Rams tried to fight back with a Davante Adams touchdown, but then the Seahawks struck and increased their lead once again with a Cooper Kupp touchdown. He was haunting his former team. Puka Nacua ended up fighting back, and that was all through 3 quarters. 2 touchdowns for each team. Sam Darnold and Stafford going band for band. It was officially 31-27 with all to play for in the fourth quarter, and somehow the fourth quarter saw 0 points across both teams. But it was still kind of eventful with Stafford trying to lead a game-winning drive. They had a chance, but then they ended up going for it at around the 10-yard line on 4th and 4, and they ended up missing it. I know I killed Sean Payton for not taking the points there, but I think in this situation, it was fine to go for it on 4th down, given the situation, being down by 4, needing a touchdown, and how automatic the Seahawks offense was. I think it was an overall fine decision, but they ended up throwing an incomplete pass, which led to the Seahawks running out most of the clock, and then a final drive by the Rams stalled out at around like the 35, and the Seahawks officially won the NFC for the 3rd time and advanced to Super Bowl 60. This was an incredible game. It wasn't as good as their Week 16 battle, in which the Seahawks won 38-37, but my God, it was pretty close to it. Looking at the Rams side, the loser side, a very unfortunate end. This offense was incredible. This team, in my opinion, was really good. Going from the preseason odds in which Stafford was worrying with back issues, it seemed like he wouldn't be at 100% with his injury history, to now being basically the front runner and favorite to win MVP. That's remarkable from not just Stafford, but from everyone else. That two-headed monster of Adams and Nacua was absolutely lethal. I hope Adams still has some form, because him and Nacua, like, it's one of the best receiver duos that I've ever seen, and I've been watching the NFL for quite a bit. The only thing that you have to look at for the Rams outside of this loss was the end of the regular season. Those bitter ends, those losses to the Falcons and to the Seahawks. Both of those results go your way, and maybe this game is at home and you're healthier and maybe you have more form, and like maybe the Seahawks, they have to travel to LA and lose. Like, you just don't know, but I guess it doesn't matter now. But still, the Rams, I think they should be relatively happy about this season, because they were still one of the best teams in the entire league. Now looking at the Seahawks, we got the winners. What a season for Seattle, man. Like, I predicted them to be 4th in the NFC West. That was just me being dumb. Like Mike Macdonald, I tip my hat to him. He's such an incredible coach. Ravens fans have to be kicking themselves for not keeping this guy instead of Harbaugh after 2023. They should have done everything in their power to keep him, because now they're kicking themselves in the butt, because this guy's just an incredible coach. JSN, what a receiver he is. 158 yards, 1 touchdown. If it weren't for Nacua having such a great year, he would be by far and away the best receiver in the league. This defense was incredible. And of course, who can forget about Rashid, the need for speed, Shaheed, with his punt returns and his big catches. Like, he was honestly such a great trade deadline acquisition. Maybe the best in like the past 3 years. It's kind of crazy how valuable he's been. And then of course, we can't talk about the Seahawks without mentioning the one guy who kind of redeemed himself in his entire career, Sam Darnold. Like, oh my goodness, Sam Darnold. From a guy who is now on his 5th team in the NFL, for a guy that looked incredibly bad for the first 2 teams, a guy that proved himself to be unreliable in these big games thanks to him falling under pressure, to now winning the NFC title game thanks to his performance, Sam Darnold was incredible. He gets my man of the match easily. 346 yards on great accuracy, 3 touchdowns. They won because Sam Darnold responded to the big moment. Honestly, it's such a great story to see because, like, again, no one can fool me. Sam Darnold was not good on his first 2 teams to now being one of the best quarterbacks in the league, arguably the best quarterback of these playoffs. It's remarkable to see. And honestly, I'm hoping that Seattle completes the Cinderella story because, again, no one expecting them to be in this situation, and maybe they get some revenge on an old foe of theirs. My player of the week goes to Sam Darnold. We didn't have a lot of people to choose from as there were only 4 teams. But again, like I was mentioning earlier, Sam Darnold, like he just played incredible. He outdueled Matthew Stafford. He outdueled that great Rams offense. It certainly wasn't going to be anyone from the Patriots or Broncos. Honestly, I hope that Sam Darnold plays well in the Super Bowl because for now, he's written off all the narratives about him that were writing him off about him not being able to respond to pressure because this was the highest stake game that he had ever been a part of, and he passed it with flying colors. And my Hall of Stroud, a.k.a. my Hall of Idiots, we have a couple of candidates despite there only being 2 games. We have Sean Payton and pretty much every coach that tries to believe analytics over just taking the damn points. We got Drake May passing-wise because he was still, he was looking like Trent Dilfer out there. Running was another story, though. We got the Titans, and honestly, I should include the Ravens for not keeping Mike Vrabel and Mike McDonald. These guys have been incredible. The Jets for making us believe that Sam Darnold was trash. Unfortunately, I have to put Xavier Smith here because that muff punt did kind of cost them in that game and gave the Seahawks basically 7 points. And then my last one is the Minnesota Vikings for rolling with J.J. McCarthy instead of just trusting Sam Darnold. Considering Sam Darnold's in the Super Bowl, and you're still stuck with 9, not a great decision, was it now, Vikings fans? And so we officially have our Super Bowl 60. The Patriots and the Seahawks are throwing it back to a rematch of 2014 in which the Patriots prevailed in Super Bowl 49, Brady won his 4th ring, and nothing of note happened that causes Seahawks fans eternal trauma for the last 11 years. But before we get to that game, that's a topic for another week. That is the end of my conference championship review. If you guys enjoyed this, like I said at the beginning, please subscribe and please like, as any support is truly appreciated. And I'll see you guys next week for my predictions of Super Bowl 60.